What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Uh, some sad news. Former NBA All-Star Kenny Anderson reportedly suffered a stroke Saturday and is now recovering in his home. Uh, Initially, I was going to post a link from a Fox News article, but I should have known better. I didn't like something that was written in the Fox News article. Maybe I'm being overly paranoid about the intentions behind it, but they were saying that reportedly Kenny Anderson wasn't taking his medications for high blood pressure and cholesterol. I just thought, it kind of comes across as pandering to a certain audience that they have, that black people don't take personal responsibility for shit. I can just see some hillbilly redneck saying, see how these people are? See Jasper? They don't take personal responsibility. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that he suffered that stroke, but while he's smoking, by the way, he didn't take personal responsibility for that stroke, but shit, all that money that nigger make, no, he can afford his medications. Eating all that hot sauce and greens and fried chicken, fat back, pig knuckles. Thinking you eat all that stuff all the time and you're not going to have no health problems. You know how it is with people, Jasper. They don't take personal responsibility. Fuck you. Motherfucker smoke 8 packs of cigarettes a day and drink fucking vodka by the fucking gallon, and he got fucking nerve to criticize somebody about personal responsibility. So I'm put a link to an NBA.com article about Kenny Anderson in the description box. And it goes on to say, former NBA All-Star Kenny Anderson has suffered a stroke. The 48-year-old Anderson recently completed his first season coaching NAIA program at Fisk University in Nashville. Fisk said in a statement Tuesday that the university community extends its, quote, thoughts and prayers to Anderson and his family. Anderson's wife, Natasha Anderson, said in a statement that the family is, quote, extremely grateful for all the prayers and love that we have received over the last few days. She added that, quote, we appreciate you continuing to respect our privacy as Kenny heals. Anderson played for several NBA teams from 1991 to 2005. He was named an All-Star in 1994 while playing for the New Jersey Nets, who selected him out of Georgia Tech with the number 2 overall pick in the 1991 draft. And I remember in Georgia Tech he played with Dennis Scott. And of course, at the time they were the New Jersey Nets. Now they're called the Brooklyn Nets. But I remember that Nets team had a lot of potential, man. They had a lot of potential. And Kenny Anderson did step up after the death of Drazen Petrovic in 1993 during the offseason. I think it was in June 1993 when he suffered that fatal accident. And I think what hurt that team the most was, of course, the loss of Drazen Petrovic and the laziness and disappointment that was Derrick Coleman's career. I remember Charles Barkley once saying that he thought that Derrick Coleman had all the tools to be the greatest power forward in the history of the NBA. And Derrick Coleman played mostly off of talent. And while he had a solid career, he should have been a Hall of Famer. But Kenny Anderson, man, has gone through a lot of shit in his life. He eventually revealed that he was sexually molested as a young boy. Okay, so that obviously has had some issues with his dependency on substance abuse, which I guess also includes food. Not that he was an obese person, but you can clearly see that Kenny Anderson put on a little weight as he got older, but he's had some financial issues. I remember in Shaq's book, I can't remember the title of the damn book, but it was a book from back in 2001, and he talked about how a lot of NBA players were practicing terrible financial habits. And I remember him saying something about how Kenny Anderson, he had heard something like Kenny had like 10 or 15 vehicles that he was renting. Like basically his neighbors were complaining that he had all these fucking vehicles. You know what I'm saying? You own 10, 15 cars that you're renting. Like, and Shaq was trying to critique that as like wasteful spending behavior. Whatever. I mean, it's true, but, then of course, I can't remember the chick's name, but he was involved with that chick that was part of the Real World. I know some of my subscribers remember her name. I can't remember. She was fine and shit, but she was a thought. So like Kenny Anderson made a lot of fucked up choices that I think eventually affected his level of play on the court. He was great when he was with the Nets. By the time he played with Portland, he was starting to slip a little bit. With Boston, he was still solid, but towards the end of his career, he became a journeyman player, man. And Kenny Anderson had the capacity and the talent and the toughness and grit to be a Hall of Famer. But I always had the suspicion that after a couple of seasons, man, his head wasn't into basketball as much as it had been the first couple of years, And he probably was dealing with a lot of demons, psychological issues. And it's sad because there was a lot of tragedy in his life, and it seemed like he had turned the corner on that. He was coaching. I'm pretty sure he finally met somebody that really cared about Kenny Anderson and not what he had, not the persona Kenny Anderson, but Kenny Anderson, not the basketball player, but Kenny Anderson, the person. And, now at the much too young age of 48, you suffer a devastating cardiovascular event, a stroke. Hopefully he's able to fully recover from this. And if the reports from Fox News are correct, take your medication more seriously, more regularly. If need be, get in better shape. And hopefully, Kenny Anderson will be around for a lot longer. Now, with Kenny Anderson, I think he was probably one of the most underrated point guards of the 1990s. I have to put another guy up there with him. I think these two were better than him, but, Rod Strickland, Sam Cassell. I even have to throw in, nowadays, Mark Price. These are some of the most underrated point guards, in the 1990s. And it kills me when I hear like a lot of young millennials say, well, in the 90s, you didn't have great point guards. What the fuck? Are you serious? It's just that in the 90s, the point guard played still a more traditional role. Now, point guards were evolving by the 90s. Point guards were starting to become a little bit more offensive minded than they had been, in prior generations. But most point guards still weren't scoring first point guards. Most point guards were still predicated upon running the offense, facilitating, if need be, dribble penetration if you're physically able to do that, and shoot the rock when necessary. And because you have the ball in your hand so often, down the line, it was imperative for a point guard to be at least a decent free throw shooter. You know, that's why I always bring up Lonzo Ball's free throw percentage, because, you know, it's atrocious for a player to be shooting 40-some% from the line is terrible. But for a guy who has supposedly will have the ball in his hands as often as he has, nah, it's inexcusable, man. But thoughts and prayers to Kenny Anderson, man. Hope that he recovers. Tell me what you guys think.